Okay, this is beta program session number 1, action plan. Okay, so this is the action plan. So what we're going to go through today, we've already gone, I'm going to state the goal of the program. We've already taken some housekeeping. We're going to talk a little bit about the traditional 4 different destinies you have if you follow the traditional that type 2 diabetes can't be reversed and it's a progressive disease. So eventually you're going to suffer one of these 4 fates or a combination. I'm going to talk about the program design. I'm also going to talk about an action plan that each of you are going to start working on individually. And then I'm going to talk about some apps, devices, and logs that can help you in this program. Okay. So my program goal essentially is captured by this Japanese proverb: give a man a fish and you feed him for a day, teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. As I said, when I first started this journey, I didn't have a framework, so I had no perspective. I couldn't tell what was important or which comes first. And that's what I want to have both of you walk away from, is you will have a conceptual framework so you can say, oh, okay, this doesn't apply to me. This is important, but this is a higher priority. Okay, so that's my goal for both of you. All right, so housekeeping, we've already talked about permissions and confidentiality. As I mentioned before, sessions are recorded, will be loaded up to YouTube, and the group communications will be email and text. I kind of prefer text for reminders and everything because it has an immediacy. And as you noticed today, I will send you a reminder the day before and an hour to 30 minutes before the session, because I know we're all busy, right? It's easy to forget stuff. Okay. So the program design. The National Institutes of Health, in order to, they recognize the growing numbers of people that were becoming obese and diabetic. So they did the study in the late 1990s, and it was a large base study with 10 universities. And they studied, I believe, around 1,300 people. And what was interesting was when they did this study, they compared people that were on metformin, a very well-known diabetic medicine. Another group they had doing lifestyle changes. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Huh. All right. Lifestyle changes. And then obviously they had the placebo group, right? So the control group. And so they did the study, and what they found is that the group that just did a lifestyle change had the highest success in preventing becoming diabetic. They were working with pre-diabetics.
Yes.
Okay? So from that study, that's why they developed the National Diabetes Prevention Program, which they launched in 2010.
Yes.
So the program has been around for a while. Okay. So I became certified as a National Diabetes Prevention Lifestyle Coach last year. All right. Now this program is only been authorized with 10 training organizations throughout the nation. I'm hearing an echo. Can someone just, can you all mute so we don't get that echo? Thank you. All right. So, so I've been using the National Diabetes Prevention Program as a framework, and then I've added my own twist on it based on my reversing my type 2 diabetes. Now, numbers. Okay, in 1 year, I dropped my HA1C from 6.4 to 4.1 in 1 year, based on my protocol, which is practically unheard of.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Now, here's the cool thing about it, right? I'm sure I know there's one guy in Toastmasters who's been speaking about his journey, but he had to do like a really stringent diet, and he exercised his ass off. Right?
Yeah.
Well, I designed this program for people that don't have a lot of time or have a body to do a lot of exercise. And also, I never believed in counting calories. Yeah. I don't believe it's really effective. And unless you're really very detail oriented, which most people aren't, you're not going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I designed the program based on principles, and I also take in consideration that the average person has a life.
Well, what's this certification? You said certified as an NDPP coach?
Yeah, National Diabetes Prevention Program Lifestyle Coach.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was created by the Centers of Disease Control.
Okay. All right, I got it now. I'm caught up.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And as I mentioned before, with Dr. Barnett's help, I made sure that the scientific underpinnings of my protocol matched, because he basically proved everything that I created. All right.
Mm-hmm.
As both of you know, I'm a software guy and I understand the limitations. I'm not a medical doctor and everything. And I don't deal with diabetics every day like Dr. Barnett does. So he's been like, my academic advisor. And this is like my master's thesis, is this program. So now we're going to talk about the typical destinies. If the old view that once you have type 2 diabetes, the best we can do is slow it down, but it's going to progress. And eventually you're going to end up with having a heart attack, go blind, have kidney failure, have one or both your feet amputated. Okay. All right. So I was here. So as you can tell, I've already suffered 2 of the 4 destinies. And then the other 2 at 2019, I was at risk. My EGFR, which is a primary panel for measuring kidney health, had moved to moderate kidney failure, which was really concerning, because as you know, once I wanted to avoid being put on a dialysis machine. And also I was feeling the symptoms of neuropathy in both my feet. They were tingling at night, and usually that's a sign that the nerves in the feet are starting to deteriorate. To do that, first of all, I'm going to ask each of you what you have found that works for you and what you feel you struggle with. And so that way we can tailor an action plan for you. All right. Okay. And because I'm a computer guy, I believe in a progressive system. So yeah. I'm going to start it out where you are currently. And then every week we're going to discuss what's working for you, what's not working for you. Maybe can we speed up certain things, and maybe we need to slow things down. All right. Yeah. So the first thing that I'm going to ask you, okay, so let me talk about the elements of the action plan. All right. Number 1 is what's really important is sleep. Okay. You need to make sure that you are getting good rest. All right. Now, so I'm going to give you some tips on this. Okay. And you can add in what other tips that help you, but all the tips I'm giving you is based on science. Okay. Number 1 is you want to make sure that you get at least 10 minutes of sunshine on your face and eyes by at the latest by 10 a.m.
Okay.
Okay. The reason for this is that there are receptors in your eyeballs that are tuned for shortwave frequency sunlight. Mm-hmm. And shortwave frequency sunlight is only available in early morning light. The reason this is important is because when those receptors are activated, that has an impact on the production of melatonin, which is the hormone that tells your body to go to sleep.
Yeah.
Okay. It's also a little known fact that melatonin also plays a critical role in mitochondria health. Mitochondria are the little batteries in all your cells. Okay, so again, it's really important you get that early morning sunlight. Usually for me, I try to take my walk in the mornings. Now, a walk is also important in that again, you need to move the major muscles in your body. And usually for human beings, the largest muscles in your body are in your butt and your thighs. Those are the biggest muscles. And you need to move those muscles on a daily basis because that acts as the pump in moving the lymphatic fluid throughout your body. And your lymphatic system is the sewer system of your body.
Mhm.
All right. So that's why it's critical. And it's the reason I have been focusing on just on physical health after all my recent heart problems, because I found when I just tried to do fasting alone without the walking, it didn't work, at least for me. Okay, so that's one aspect. So can both of you commit to doing at least a 10-minute walk in the morning?
Yes. Yeah.
Renee?
I would try to do the walk in the morning. Yeah, I can do that. I normally take my walk like around my lunch time, like around my break, my first break. But
Okay.
that's not before 10 o'clock.
Okay.
I know I'll get the sunlight because I got to drive to work, you
Okay.
know. So, but I'll try to start getting up like a little earlier before I get out there to go to work and walk. So yes, try.
Okay. Now, if you are pressed for time, you can break it up. You can just sit in the sunshine for 10 minutes in the morning and do your walk later. Okay. So you can break it up. For me, I like to compound as many things together because I'm really all about efficiency. But like I said, you know your schedule's best. If you're so busy, all you can do is sit in the sunshine for 10 minutes. That could even just be standing at your car door for 10 minutes and facing the sunrise. That's good enough. And then obviously with people like darker skin like us, and that our ancestors came from the equator, we may actually need more sunshine. The reason for this is there was a study done in Sweden that studied a group of refugees from Ethiopia. And they found these Ethiopians had a higher incidence of chronic diseases. And what they found was 68% of them had vitamin D deficiencies.
Which was sun.
Yeah,
sun.
which is sun. Because again, they had darker skin, but now they're up in the Nordic areas. They weren't getting enough sun because of the dark skin. So they addressed it with vitamin D supplements. However, vitamin D supplements is good, but it can never really replace sunshine.
Right.
Okay. So make sure at the very least you put that down in your action plan as something that you need to do as often as possible during the week. Okay, 10 minutes at least of getting some sunshine. Then obviously, I want you to do a walk, okay, for half an hour. When you saw those massive results, right? You know, that picture, the before and after. I know Renee really loved that picture. All right. I lost most of that weight just doing the walk. So you got to love it about the protocol, right? It doesn't require gym membership. It doesn't even require weights. Just something as simple as a 30-minute walk combined with the other elements is good enough for you to start reversing your type 2 diabetes and losing the weight. Because I don't know if you've heard, but at least a lot of studies now are finding that really exercise, unless you're like a professional athlete or that's your full-time job, right? It's not really good for weight loss. Exercise is mainly good for weight management, especially if you're type 2 diabetic. The reason it's not as good for type 2 diabetics is because our metabolism is all screwed up from our type 2 diabetes. Okay. Primarily because we have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And the liver plays a central role in your metabolism like your heart does for your cardiovascular system. And major muscle movement is central for your lymphatic system. Is that pretty clear? Okay, good.
I have a
All right.
question.
Yes.
Okay, so I exercise every
Mhm.
morning on
Mhm.
top of my walking.
Mhm.
'Cause I walk on my 15-minute break, but in the morning,
Mhm.
because of the energy that it gives me, I
Mhm.
do. And that's why I was sitting here thinking, like, dang, I could do my exercises like I used to do. When it was sunny outside, of course, I will
Mhm.
go outside and exercise. And it's and I'll send you the videos, but it's a young lady called Grow with Joe.
Mhm.
And she does a lot of exercises on YouTube. And I love those exercises. It really makes me feel good. And that was one of the ways she was one of the programs that I kept going on when I got off the medication on one of
Mhm.
my medications. So just for clarity, should I do more walking than I just know that my legs are leaving though. Like I don't want my legs going like that.
Okay.
So
No, this is a good question. Okay. What I'm saying is that's the minimum you should do on a daily basis. Okay. You could stack, you know, more on top of that, which I did once I reversed my type 2 diabetes, then I started stacking different workouts. And I actually have an entire system because I used to be a personal trainer. All right. So, yeah, obviously, if you're getting benefit from that, then yeah, keep doing it. The only thing you have to consider is I'm going to tell you this: the fasting lifestyle is all about energy management. As you both know, since you're both experienced fasters, if you're doing an extended fast, it sucks the energy out of you, especially when you're doing that transition. Now, um, remind me. So, Renee, what's the longest fast that you've done?
um I have gone in a day about maybe 18 hours.
Okay, that's good. That's really good for a type 2 diabetic on on a time restricted eating. Okay,
Mhm.
that's a more technical term. I don't like using intermittent fasting because it can apply to time restricted eating or alternate day fasting. Okay, and there are reasons that alternate day fasting is not as effective for type 2 diabetics as as time restricted eating. All right, and I'll go a little bit more into that in another session, but that's again based on my experience. So what about you, Lana? What's the longest fast that you've done? Lana, you're muted. Hello?
Okay,
Oh,
now
there.
I'm here. I tell you, I got a lot of stuff going on here. I'm sorry. But
Okay.
me, as far as me fasting, I fast the 18 like 2 or 3 days at a time, 18 hours restricted.
Okay. Okay. All right. Let me go through a little bit on this now. All right. The reason that I was able to reverse my type 2 diabetes so quickly is, first of all, it was my full-time job. So that's the qualifier, okay? The reason I was able to do it because my brain fog got so bad with my type 2 diabetes, I had to reduce my computer consulting practice down to a single client because I could only focus 2 hours a day. That's how bad my brain fog was. All right. So obviously the perverse part of that is I had all this time I could just focus on getting healthy. So we're going to take a little slower approach because both you and Renee, Lana, are very busy people. All right. So it's going to be a slower process, but again, it depends on how you progress. But again, the ultimate thing is energy management. All right. So
Okay,
again, yes.
can
Go
I
ahead, Renee.
say something about that? Okay,
Yes.
so when it comes to the 18 hours that I
Mhm.
have fasted, now being very transparent, okay.
Mhm.
The only reason that I do the 18 hours is because on Sundays I don't eat before I go to church.
Mhm.
So it's very easy for me to, if not, because I'm moving around, I'm at church, I'm not gonna eat and stop and I gotta I'm not gonna do that because I'm busy. I'm doing stuff.
Mhm.
Now, Saturday or Monday through Friday, your girl gotta eat.
Okay.
And that's what my mindset say, but as I shared with you before, so if it's not on a Sunday, the longest that I have gone is 16 hours.
Mhm.
Because I don't eat after 6:30.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Here's the thing. Okay. Number one, from what you shared with me, number one is when you go into a hardcore fast, you have to shift from strength building to a maintenance workout. That's number one. Okay. Maintenance workout, obviously your body's used to it. It's just mainly just maintenance, as I mentioned before, because every hardcore gym rat that didn't listen to saying, hey, you got to crank it down, they burn out and they fail every single time. That's why I emphasize it's about energy management. That's why if you're having a very stressful day, then don't go do an 18-6. Do whatever you can, because I'll give you an example. One of the clients I had was a 50-year-old pastor's wife, and she had adopted a daughter. And she, obviously, because of her duties, had a lot of things going on. And, and also she was a perfectionist. So essentially, she would freak out if she had a bad day. But then I would point out, but you had 6 good days. And I will take that bargain any day. All right. We are talking about long term. We're talking about a lifestyle. Don't focus if you had a bad day. Just say, well, I just had a bad day. Get back on the horse the next day and start a new streak.
Well, okay. I wouldn't fast every day now. On the 18th, I wouldn't fast. I wouldn't do it every day. I would maybe do it one and every other day, something like that.
Okay. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. From my studies and experience, is a large part of that is because of your gut. All right. And so a big part of this protocol, which you don't hear from many of the other fasting experts, is managing your gut bacteria. All right. Now, you heard both in my presentation about that postdoc student that lived on McDonald's for 10 days. And the diversity in his gut dropped by 2/3. All right. Now, the reason your gut bacteria is so important, because your gut will tell your brain what to eat. If you start eating fast food, you are crowding out the bacteria that lives on good food that's good for your body. And this postdoc student said after about 4 or 5 days, he started feeling lethargic. He started having cravings. So there's a technique I have, which is actually pretty simple. It doesn't require like a juice diet or anything else. All right. And we'll talk a little bit about that farther on. But most importantly is that a lot of the things that people says, well, I can't fast and stuff, it's because they have an imbalance in their gut. All right. And we are going to address that in this protocol. All right. Because I heard that when I heard you share the first time, Renee, because you said you were talking about Sunday, but then you would break the fast and then you would talk about, well, I had to eat this. Like that told me immediately, okay, she's got an imbalance in her gut. So we got to address that. Because I could tell you when I first started this, as a computer guy, I don't just look at the things that I want to improve. I also took a look at the things that were going to sabotage me. And the number one thing that was going to sabotage me were my cravings. Okay. So I took care of that right off the bat, because I believe in making your body your ally and not your opponent. Too many people don't understand how their body works, and their body is fighting them. Right? I'm sure we all know, we've all been there, right? When we've been hangry, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good example of not working with your body. All right. So let me talk, since that's an issue. All right, how we're going to do this. This is how I did it. Is do either of you have a problem with potatoes?
What, eating them?
Yeah, eating them.
No, I'll eat them.
Okay, Lana.
No, I don't. I can
Okay.
I could eat a potato any which way you go with it.
Okay, there is a special. This is how I did it. All right, as I mentioned before, type 2 diabetics have bad gut biome, right?
Yeah.
And so a big problem is, how do you get rid of the bad bacteria without having to go on eating rabbit food, right? Or having to go hungry and stuff like that. So I found something called the potato diet. All right. What you do is you build your way up to going and just eating potatoes. Now, you have to prepare the potatoes in a certain way. What you do is you take the potato, you either bake it or you boil it. Then you put it in the refrigerator overnight, and it converts the starch to what is called resistant starch. And resistant starch is indigestible to the body. However, the good, healthy bacteria at the lower end of your GI tract loves this stuff.
I was going to ask you about the potato because I know it's starchy, but okay, thank you.
Yeah, it converts it to resistant starch. And what's really good too is it actually, because if you're only eating potatoes, that bad bacteria starves and passes away. I can tell you that in my alpha group, I had Marjorie, Lana, Miss and Renee, you
Yeah.
probably know Marjorie. She did a 3-day potato diet, and
Mhm.
immediately she lost her cravings, and she found that it didn't she didn't have to eat as much to feel full.
Mhm.
And that was just by doing this. Is that it does two things, right? It increases the number of healthy bacteria in your lower gut. It allows the specific strand of bacteria that lives off the slime in your gut and is important for the maintenance of your gut wall, right? Which is only one cell thick. And it gives it space to breathe and proliferate. And it also gets rid of your cravings. Now, obviously, everybody's different, and that's the reason I have my test groups. But Marjorie said that she did the potato diet and she had the benefits. It's going on now for 2 weeks, and she only did it for 3 days.
Wow.
All right. Now, if going full potato is too much, I found a study that found that even just adding one potato to one meal has a positive benefit.
One refrigerated potato.
Yeah. Remember, you have to prepare it first, boil it or bake it, then
Yes.
put it in the refrigerator to do the conversion process,
Yes.
and then rebake it and reboil it. And what's
Oh.
really cool about that is, like, I prepare multiple potatoes because I don't know how much I'm going to eat. Any unused potato, you just stick it back in the fridge and it converts it even more.
Oh, you know what? I've been blessed because we had some potatoes that I had baked a couple of days ago. Matter of fact, last week. And so I was hungry, really hungry yesterday or day before. And I took a half a potato out of the refrigerator. It was cold, but it was already, and I was able to just eat it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I
Now,
fried it. I
yeah.
fried it with
Now, the
onion.
thing is,
Oh,
besides
wait, I'm sorry. I just want clarity. So
Yeah.
prepare the potato, put it in the refrigerator, and then put it back in the microwave or whatever.
yeah, you can rebake it or reboil it.
Oh, wow.
I recommend boiling it because you maintain the water content, and because
Yeah.
it's so heavy with water, it will help keep you full.
Okay.
So
Woo.
boil. And it's so crazy because when I tell you that potatoes was the hardest thing for me to stop eating, because I am such a potato girl. I love
Yeah.
And I was I'm like looking at you like, wait a minute, you are aware that I'm they say I'm a diabetic. My sugar's gonna be sky high. So I'm excited about this.
Me too. Me too. Me too, Renee.
Oh, attention.
Yeah. And here's the best thing about this, ladies. Okay. In the beginning, don't even pay attention to time restricted eating, because right now the focus is on your gut.
Yes.
So the thing is, what's really great about it, if you feel hungry, eat more potato. You
Oh,
don't have to go hungry.
okay.
The only thing is you have to be disciplined. You should, it's recommended you only have water and you only eat potatoes. All right. So let me ask each of you this question. Okay. How many in the next week do you need like to ramp up to eating, only eating potatoes? Like, would you like to just start with one potato with a meal for this week? Or would you like to, by, this weekend, maybe just go the whole weekend just eating potatoes?
Are you there?
Yeah.
I think it's, oh, okay, you froze, so I want to make sure.
Yeah.
So for me,
Mhm.
I have to go out of town for my aunt's funeral, so
Right.
I have to go out of town, so I can't commit to that. But what I can commit to, and what I am
Mhm.
going to, is I'm going to go get some potatoes and I'm going to boil them, and I'll go ahead and put them and I'll package them on the side, and I'll eat those potatoes when I am hungry at the hotel.
Yeah.
So that's what I can commit to.
Mhm.
But I can warm them up in the microwave. Is that correct?
Yeah, you can have them in
Well,
the microwave. The key is that you have to have it plain. You can't add condiments or anything. The only thing you can add is salt. Because as you know, you need to make sure you get your daily electrolytes. These are elements that your body needs, but it doesn't produce. And that is salt, magnesium, and potassium. And potatoes are heavy with magnesium, but potassium. So all you need to do is add a little bit of salt.
So do add salt or do not add salt. Because I can eat a potato just coming out of I don't need any seasoning. I'm not a big
Okay,
season.
good. That's even better. That's even better. However, if you do get a little lightheaded, because remember, this is the only thing you're eating, right? Is that add a little bit of salt and that will cure whatever lightheadedness that you have.
Got you. Okay.
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 All right. Okay, so let's go back again to the action plan because I think we've covered a little bit. So to start you off, we're going to talk about, getting 10 minutes of sunshine, whether if you get real busy, it's just sitting in the sun or standing by your car door for 10 minutes and getting some sun. All right. And then aiming for a half-hour walk. Now you can break it up. Renee and I have talked about, can I do it in 2 15-minute segments? That's fine. Okay, because you're not really working on your cardiovascular, right? This is mainly about making sure you're moving that lymphatic fluid in the sewer system of your body. All right. And you're going to start with the potato diet. All right. Now I will send you a white paper that I wrote with a collaborator. She was a graduate student taking her master's in public health at the University of Skövde in Sweden. And so we put together a white paper that was reviewed by Dr. Barnett about the potato diet. So I need to update it with all the latest things, but it's still pretty good because it shows step-by-step how you prepare the potatoes. All right. There's also one other thing I should recommend is because potatoes can be contaminated with pesticides and stuff, you can get California organic at Walmart. So you can get organic potatoes. Because as both of you know, one of the things that screws us up is when our food gets contaminated with pesticides, heavy metals, hormones, antibiotics. So you want to try to eliminate that from your diet as much as possible. However, as both of you know, I think you're both the presentation when I talked about, CNN did that study when they compared baby food manufactured and homegrown, and they found they had both the same levels of arsenic and heavy metals. That's how polluted our world is. The only difference was the amount. Obviously, the ones that were manufactured had pesticides, whereas the ones that used homegrown materials didn't or had a minimum amount. That's why it's so important that you make sure your detoxification system and the sewer system of your body is in optimal shape. All right.
Okay, so just for clarity,
Yes.
we're only for this weekend, because I can't go full blown. Is there anything that you will recommend for me not to eat to see the results?
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
so
Yeah, let's
what?
talk about that. Okay.
Yeah, what?
Okay. One of the other principles on my protocol is you want to reduce the amount of refined carbohydrates. All right. In other words, what I call industrial food. This is like potato chips, what is it? Fast food, right? This also, unfortunately, it also applies to restaurant food because you don't know when was the last time they changed the cooking oil, right? They also give you massive amounts of food, which, is way beyond what you should be eating. So I would recommend that, you go through, get rid of the cookies, the chips, the cakes and stuff like that for this period of time. Let's face it, come on, it's 6 weeks. I'm sure that you can go without that. And just to see for yourself, because again, it's not just eating healthy, it's also getting rid of the unhealthy stuff in our lives. And that includes people and the environment around us. Okay. All right. So let's see, we got about 4 minutes left. So let me talk a little bit about two other things that is not talked about among those fasting gurus. All right. Studies have shown that your environment will trump your inner motivation most of the time. It's also been my experience when I was a moderator on fasting forums. I only know of one university student that's able to successfully fast. And that was that graduate student that I was working with. All right. And she was highly motivated because she felt the imbalance in her gut biome was the reason for her binging and self-harming behaviors. So she was dealing with mental illness. All right. The only other, like, for example, if you're in mourning, and Renee, this is where this applies to you. Usually most people who are in mourning can't fast successfully because the stress is just too much. However, one of my clients lost her husband and she channeled that grief and successfully did a 14-day fast. So energy is energy. It's how you decide to channel it, is what I'm saying. I also met a nurse in Clubhouse. Get this, all right. She did a 21-day water-only fast while getting her degree and raising 3 kids. And you know why she was able to do it? She had a supportive husband who was concerned about her gaining too much weight. So this is important. If you're an introvert, usually if you have one person you can go to, that's usually enough. If you're an extrovert, you may need a community of people. But this is really important. And obviously part of that is eliminating the naysayers or the ones that are saying, oh, you're starving yourself, let me feed you. They have good intentions, but they're going to sabotage you. So for me, I'll give my personal story. When I decided to do this, the only people that knew it was my mom and my pastor. My pastor was my accountability person. And it wasn't until I lost all this weight that he finally let it out, because it was obvious I was doing something. So to maintain your energy level, you want to minimize the stress, people that have good intentions or people that want to drag you down. So you may want to keep this to yourself, except for your accountability person or people you know you can trust. All right. So I want you to focus on making sure you have a supportive environment for this. Okay. So let me review again. What I want you to do in your action plan is, number 1, what are you going to do with the potatoes? Number 2, your exercise in your sunshine. And also look at things that can sabotage you in your environment and get rid of those, or replace it with something more supportive. Is that clear? Okay. Okay. Let's see. I also have, I know, Renee, you're tracking your food with an app, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's really important in the beginning is to do tracking, daily tracking.
Like a diary or something, a journal?
Yeah, like a food journal. I have a couple of logs that I can send to you
Okay,
from the DPP program. It's like
Okay.
an exercise log and a food log.
yeah, I want to, if you're done, I want to ask a question.
Sure.
My serious problem is I have brain fog. I can't remember things. That is my biggest problem here, and I can't see.
Mhm.
Like
Okay.
yeah, those two things. A reason why I'm saying that is because I'm in school,
Mhm.
but I can't concentrate. It's like
Mm.
I'm here, over here, I'm over there. I cannot really concentrate and get, and I know I can get these concepts down, but you know, with math, you got to really be able to get those concepts. And so I'm learning to learn all over again. And it may not be the right time for me to be trying to go to school because I need to get rid of this, what's going on with me.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So
Yeah.
that's what's going to cause me to really get where I'm going, because as I had said to you, I want to get into maternal nursing. And I have to do what I need to do, but I need to speak to the lady that you were telling me that does midwifery.
Yeah.
You know, I need to, but that's what's my problem is the fog. I
Okay.
can't
I can tell you,
concentrate.
yeah, I can tell you that is definitely related to your type 2 diabetes. And I can tell you that once I started reducing my HA1C and the weight started coming off, the brain fog lifted. In fact, after a year and a half, I actually pulled an all-nighter. I worked 30 hours straight, which I hadn't done since my late 30s. And I was
Wow.
61 at the time. So yes, it's definitely related to type 2 diabetes. You may actually want to go back to the class and see if you can kind of suspend it.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing more frustrating than, I know when I could only focus 2 hours a day, I got so
Yeah.
frustrated. I just want to throw my computer out the window.
Yeah.
Um, so again, that's just something that you may want to consider.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So let me go over what I'm going to send you. I'm going to send you the white paper on the
Yes.
potato diet. I'm going to send you the exercise and food logs in case you need it. Renee, I already know you have an app, but just in case, it's a good backup. And more importantly, it's free, right? Because I tried looking at the food tracking apps and they all are basically charging money. And like I said, I designed this program for low income people that have all sorts of handicaps. And so that's why Tim Johnson got his results. He heard me speak. Marjorie has been with me since January 2021.